Now, heat transfer. Like work transfer, heat transfer is also a path function. So what does this mean? This means that the amount of heat transfer when a system changes from a state 1 to another state 2 depends upon the path it followed. So like work, heat is also a path function, and it is written here: heat transfer is a path function, that is the amount of heat transferred when a system changes from a state 1 to state 2 depends on the intermediate states. Intermediate states mean that how you are achieving the final state, through which path, that depends upon the heat transfer through which the system passes, that is its path. So the same meaning which I said right now. Thus dq is an inexact differential. Since it is a path function, therefore dq, or the change in heat, amount of heat, is inexact, as you might now be aware that it needs the path, the initial state and the final states to be known. Therefore dq is an inexact differential, and it is written as like the work transfer. Now this line, you know very well that if there is a temperature difference, there will be transfer of heat or flow of heat. Thus temperature difference is the cause of heat transfer and the effect. Now this, you might be aware of this thing, that without temperature difference there is no meaning of heat transfer, or heat transfer cannot take place. Now as like the displacement work, the heat transfer can also be written as the integral of the product of intensive property T and differential change of an extensive property, say x. So as we have written, W is equal to integral of P dV. So likewise heat transfer can also be written in this form: q1 to 2 integral of inexact differential is equal to T dx. Now T is the temperature, which is an intensive property, and the another property x is the entropy. You might be not aware what the entropy is. In second module you will become aware of what the entropy is and what is its role and significance in thermodynamics. So till now you can just know that heat transfer can also be written as work transfer, like this, that is temperature into change in differential amount of a property, and that property is entropy. So students, now moving towards the next point. Now a few derivations are there, so we start with that one. Now you have studied various processes in thermodynamics, right from your 12th physics. You were aware of what an isothermal process is, what is an isochoric process, and isobaric process, adiabatic process. These four processes you had studied in your intermediate level physics. Now the same processes are again here, but with some advancement. The advancement is the work done and consequently the heat transfer, or the heat transfer. So starting with it, sorry. Now you might have heard various terms like isothermal, isobaric. So what does the iso means to here? So the prefix iso is used to designate a process which a particular property remains constant. So iso, that means iso is used to as a prefix to designate that that property is constant. For example, isobaric. So that means pressure is constant. Isothermal, that means the temperature is constant. So here it is written the same thing. For example, an isothermal process is a process during which the temperature T remains constant. So now you must be aware that why the ISO is used. So ISO is used to designate that that particular process is constant and it acts as a prefix. And isochoric process is a process during which the specific volume remains constant. So now starting few derivations, they are quite simple, but and look at the all the graphs you are seeing. First of all, the heading is PdV work in various quasi-static processes. That means the displacement work in various quasi-static processes. Now I think you must be aware of what the word quasi-static is. Quasi-static is in a very slow process such that the system is in equilibrium. Okay, this is the main aspect of quasi-static process. So first is constant pressure process or isobaric process. So as the name refers, isobaric. So what does it mean? Pressure is constant. Why? Because bar is being prefixed with, sorry, bar is coming after iso. So therefore pressure is constant. So students, before proceeding to the derivations, just remember the one basic equation, fundamental equation, and that is this one. In deriving the work equation with regards to thermodynamics, this is the basic equation that W work done is the integral of PdV. Another form of work is also there, but for closed processes it is there. So W is equal to PdV. Okay, you must be now aware of this thing. Since pressure is constant, therefore I can take out the term P outside the integral. Why? Because it is constant and it doesn't mean if it is inside the integral or outside the integral. So I take it out from the integrals and outside from the integral sign. Now integrating, the only the term remaining is dv. So integral of dv will be only v. So therefore w 1 to 2 will be only p within the limits v 2, sorry, v1 to 2, and if you put the limits, then the equation becomes this one, W P multiplied by change in volume. Thus this aspect is being represented in a PV diagram. It is shown here. Look at the process. Since volume is changing but pressure is constant, so I draw a 2D axis along x axis, y axis it is pressure, along x axis it is volume. And since pressure is constant but volume is changing, therefore a line drawn perpendicular to y axis will represent the change. So here you can see pressure is constant but volume is changing. This is also shown in this diagram, that you can see volume is changing from V1 to V2 but pressure is constant. So drawing a diagram is important in thermodynamics to show how the processes are taking place, as it gives a clear picture to you also and to the examiner also, that okay, the student knows everything. If we can draw the process on a xy plane, then he knows the process very well and his concepts are clear. Now the second derivation is of under constant volume process. Again, what type of process? Isochoric process. Now what will be the work done under isochoric process? Again, I will start from the equation. What is that fundamental equation? This is my fundamental equation. W1 to 2 PdV. Okay. Now in this case, pressure is again changing, but volume is constant. As you can see here, that volume is constant or there is no change in volume. So if I use this equation, then what will be the work done? Since volume is constant, so therefore the limits will not change, hence the work done will be 0. Now you can see this. So an important result that under constant volume process or an isochoric process, in an isochoric process, the work done is 0. So this is an important relation, and you might be using it several times, as it may reduce the calculation part. Now moving to the next derivation, polytropic processes. So what are polytropic processes? Till now what we have assumed that the actual is sorry, not that the compression and expansion are following an ideal process, but it is not so. You might be knowing that the compression and expansion does not follow an actual an ideal path. They deviate from their ideal path. So to represent the actual process, and two constants are introduced, that constants are n and c, where n is a constant which is known as the index of compression or expansion, and c is a constant. Students, you must be aware of the equation. I am just writing it on this screen. PV to the power gamma. Now gamma is for air. Now for actual processes of gases, means any gas, the index of compression and expansion is represented not by gamma, but by another index of compression and expansion, that is sorry, that is n. Okay, PV to the power n is equals to constant. So again, starting from a fundamental equation, so it is written here: during actual expansion and compression process of gases, pressure and volume are related by PV to the power n equals to C, where n and C are constant. Although it is written n and C are constant, but n is called polytropic index of compression or expansion, whatever be the type of process. That is, a gas may be compressed or expanded. A process of this kind is called a polytropic process. The pressure for a polytropic can be given as, so now PV to the power n is equal to C, or P is equal to CV to the power minus n, simple mathematics. Now we have to start, since we have to determine the work, therefore we will have to start from the fundamental equation WPdV. Okay, and the limit will be V1 to V2. So students, what we have done in this equation, we have replaced the value of P in terms of V. So that's here it is written. Okay. So the equation under polytropic process becomes this one. Integrating, so after integration, the equation reduces to this one. and putting the limits, the equation is this. Now the constant C has the value of P1 V1 is equal to the power n is equal to P2 V2 to the power n is equal to PV to the power n. How? Because you must be knowing that P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2 and like that the other forms of gas equation. Therefore constant C is given by this one. Putting the value of C, now according to the requirement the value of C is written. So what does this mean according to the requirement? This means that when I am taking P here multiplying it by C, I will multiply it by C. For example, it can be written as CV2 to the power 1 minus n minus CV1 sorry, yes, 1 minus n to the power n. So I can write C, there are two values of C. With V2 I can write this value, and with V1 I can write this value. Okay, because C has all these three values. So after putting it I get the equation. Here it will be P2 V2, rather P1 V1, it is P2 V2. Okay, after solving it, sorry for that, after solving it I get this answer. Why? Because of simple mathematical calculation I will get this answer 1 minus n, or taking the negative sign common I get this answer. So I think it's this derivation is clear to you, that how we have derived to this point. Now since we know that PV is equal to mRT for an ideal gas, therefore putting here instead of P1 V1 I will write mRT1, that is P1 V1 is equal to mRT1 and P2 V2 is equal to mRT2. But remember that this is for only ideal gas. So the equation becomes W1 to 2 mRT1 n minus 1, or taking the common, the equation, final equation is this mR within bracket T1 minus T2 n minus 1 P1 minus P2 V2 upon n minus 1. Now students, you must see that this derivation is applicable only when n is not equal to 1. You can see this. If I put n equals to 1, then what will happen? Then according to it the work done will be infinite. So that not be the case. So how to determine the in that condition when n is equal to 1? So here it is written, for a special case of n equals to 1, just going back one slide again. So when I put n equals to 1, then what will happen? Then the equation will be PV equal to C, or P is equal to C upon V. That means now we will put this value of P in work done. So here I have done that only. Just look at that. PV is equal to C. Then integrating from V1 to V2, the value of P is, we can determine it from here, it is C upon V. Now integrating it from V1 to V2, so it is, the integration of dx upon x, it is ln x. So the equation becomes W is equal to C ln V1 V2 upon V1. Now what is the value of C in this case? So again, as written previously, C is equal to P1 V1 for the case n equals to 1. Here it is 1. So the C is P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. So depending upon the numerical or the requirement of numerical, here I can write the value of C as either P2 V2 or P1 V1. At present I am using P1 V1, but you may use P2 V2 also. Therefore the work done for the case of n equals to 1 becomes PV into ln V2 by V1, and since V2 by V1 is, P1 by P2, therefore this equation can be also transformed into this form. Now students, just look at this graph. This graph is a general graph depicting all the processes. Now you can see that if n is equal to 0, then it is a constant pressure process. You can see that if I put n equals to 0 there, then it becomes a constant pressure process. Just look at that. If n is equal to 0, then P is equal to C or a constant, hence a constant pressure process. And for n is equal to infinity, that is, if I put n is equal to infinite, in this case, what will become? V is equal to constant. So as the V is equal to constant, so therefore this becomes the case, and all other values, that is n equals to 1, n equals to 3, n is equal to 3, all lies within these two values. So now you must be aware of the various work done processes and how to determine it. Now moving toward the next point, the specific heat and the latent heat. Now what is specific heat and latent heat? As you must be know, so what is specific heat? We know that it takes different amount of energy to raise the temperature of an identical masses of different substances by 1 degree. So that means if we take 1 kilogram of different substances, then different amount of heat is to be given to different substances to raise its temperature by 1 degree centigrade. This you know, that if I heat wood, if I heat charcoal, if I heat water, if I heat for example tea, then they all take different amount of energy to raise its temperature by 1 degree centigrade. So an example is there that it takes 4.5 kilojoule of energy to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of iron from 20 to 30 degree centigrade, whereas it takes about times energy to raise the 1 kilogram of liquid water by the same amount. So it is desirable to have a property that will enable us to compare the energy storage capabilities of various substances. That means a property should be there so that we can compare the storage capability. That means how much energy is being stored in the system. So this property is called specific heat. You must be knowing this property from your basic science. since your class 10th and 11th studies, and it is defined as the energy required to raise the temperature of a substance by 1 degree centigrade. And its equation is, it is written here. So the energy required to raise the temperature of substance by 1 degree centigrade is called specific heat. The product of mass and specific heat is called heat capacity of the substance. So this is a somewhat advanced term, that product of mass and specific heat is called heat capacity of the substance. Now, as you must be knowing that there are two kinds of specific heats. First one is specific heat at constant volume, and then specific heat at constant pressure. So the specific heat at constant volume can be defined as the energy required to raise the temperature of a unit mass of a substance by 1 degree when the volume is maintained constant. So what does this mean? It means that if you volume of the system is maintained constant, then the pressure, then the heat given to is called specific heat at constant volume. For example, since the volume is constant, take a piston cylinder device and hold the piston in its position firmly. So what does it mean? That you freeze the piston. Now start heating the gas or the liquid. So what will happen? The liquid will change into uh, gas, and it will exert pressure on the piston. But since you have freeze the piston in its position, so its volume will remain constant. And just note down the uh, energy given to the gas for raising its temperature by 1 degree centigrade. Now that is known as the specific heat or at constant volume. Similarly, Cp or specific heat at constant pressure can be defined as the energy required to raise the temperature of a unit mass of a substance by 1 degree centigrade as the pressure is maintained constant. So what does this mean? Now you heat the same liquid, but in an open beaker. Since atmospheric pressure is constant, therefore you can put the open beaker, and the amount of energy required at that moment to raise the temperature by 1 degree centigrade, then it is known as specific heat at constant pressure. Now the moving towards the next point. Now it is written that Cp is greater than Cv, that is specific heat at constant pressure is greater than constant volume. Why? Because in that case the system is allowed to expand, and the energy for this expansion work can be utilized further. Okay, so this point I will explain to you a little bit later when I am giving you the example of Joule's systems, yeah, Joule's experiment. Till now, just note it down there in some copy. Now, for a truly incompressible system, the values of Cp and Cv are constant. That is, if it is incompressible, that is, if you cannot compress the substance, then its specific heat and at constant pressure and at constant volume are almost same. So its derivation is not on your part, not on the part of your curriculum, and you can assume that solids do not change. Solids can be assumed to be almost incompressible, and liquid can also be assumed incompressible with some by sacrificing some accuracy. So therefore their specific heats at constant pressure and constant volume can be taken to be same. Now some important points regarding Cp and Cv. So Cp are the properties of substance of an ideal gas depends only on temperature. That is, Cp is a function of temperature only for an ideal gas, but for a general pure substance it depends on specific volume, pressure and temperature. Now the next point is the latent heat of sublimation and fusion. So now moving towards that,